Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's video. There's a nice wisteria behind me today, and I wonder if you've been in one of those conferences or events where they run an icebreaker to encourage you to get to know one another a bit better. I'm a bit hung up myself, so I've entered into them reluctantly. One of the less cringeworthy ones asks you to submit an unusual hobby or interest from your childhood. Whenever I've done it, no one has ever guessed mine. But in the interests of transparency and full disclosure, I share with you that when I was younger, I used to breed and collect butterflies and tropical silk moths. The latter required humid and warm conditions for the caterpillars. My mother was frequently alarmed to discover plastic boxes containing enormous caterpillars in the airing cupboard. In my pre-Christian days, it was the closest I got to wonder and worship. There is something almost miraculous about the way an insect can change from an egg through an ugly caterpillar to emerge from its chrysalis or cocoon as the most exquisite butterfly or moth. I still rejoice when I see small tortoiseshell and peacock caterpillars eating the nettles on the bank of the Wye beyond our garden fence. For me, a butterfly flying by will always invite closer observation. They bring me joy. I was walking around the Laskett garden last year, and a small copper butterfly landed on my finger. I treasure the photograph. In his final words to his disciples in John 15, verse 11, Jesus said, "I've told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Now, it's hard to see joy amid current political events and their knock-on effect on livelihoods. It's hard to see joy amid severe illness, although some of the most moving stories in the debate on assisted dying in the House of Lords last week were voices that described joy in the face of death. St. Augustine said, "In the house of God there is never any festival. The angel choir makes eternal holiday. The presence of God's face gives joy which never fails." The resurrection encourages us to look at the world in a different way, to look at joy without having to pretend it isn't there because of the suffering of the world. There is a tendency in English culture to be wary of excessive displays of emotion, both positive and negative. Anglicanism is frequently the religious manifestation of it, like the bishop during the Wesleyan revival in the 18th century, who described Methodist fervour as a very horrid thing, or those members of the congregation in Pulverbatch in the same period, who pelted Suki Harley, a pioneer of charismatic experience in that parish, from the balcony during services. One of the wonderful gifts a more multicultural church has brought to us is a less self-conscious celebration in worship. It's been a joy to visit other countries less influenced by Western culture and share in the exuberant praise and thanksgiving. If you can't unself-consciously celebrate with joy the fact that God has raised Jesus from the dead, defeated death itself, opened the way to eternal life, and conclusively demonstrated that evil will not have the last word, I'm not sure what you can celebrate. There is so much suffering in the world that we perhaps think that it cancels it out, as if it's a zero-sum gain, or says that we don't care about suffering. But the story of Holy Week holds the two together. As disciples, we shouldn't look away when we're confronted with suffering. Love should prompt us to action. But in a similar way, we shouldn't look away from the joy in embarrassment. It's an equal part of the face of reality. In the great story that God is telling, it will be joy that has the last word, not the pain. At the end, God will wipe away every tear from our eyes, because there will be no more mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things will pass away. We read those verses from Revelation 21 frequently at funerals. I was very grateful for my colleague Bishop Hughes' reflections on some of the above at a conference last week. He brought it together, the joy and the suffering, beautifully with a few lines from T.S. Eliot's poem, Wait Without Hope. I'll finish for this week with that. So the darkness shall be light, and the stillness the dancing, whisper of running streams and winter lightning, the wild thyme unseen, and the wild strawberry, the laughter in the garden, echoed ecstasy, not lost, but requiring, pointing to the agony of death and birth.